For 600 years it had drifted, silent, motionless, dead. The stars around it had changed. Civilizations had risen and fallen, yet the warship remained, a relic of a war that had nearly consumed the galaxy, a war against humanity. They called it Leviathan, the last great human warship, and for centuries it was nothing but a grave, until tonight, a pulse deep, resonant, like the heartbeat of a god, shook the void. Instruments screamed awake across 100 alien listening posts. A signal impossibly old yet terrifyingly alive was broadcasting from the derelict warship. Humanity is not gone. We are still here. The listening station orbiting the fractured moon of Sereth Prime nearly collapsed under the strain of the signal. Admiral Nira Valak, commander of the Vayari Ascendancy Fleet, stood rigid as her officers scrambled. Holographic screens filled the command deck, showing the unmistakable source. "It's impossible," whispered one lieutenant, his mandibles trembling. "Extinct." Nira's golden eyes narrowed. She had fought in the last human wars. She remembered the terror, the way one human ship could burn through an entire fleet, the way human soldiers fought with madness in their eyes as if death was only a temporary inconvenience. She had personally signed the treaty declaring Homo sapiens eradicated. And yet, the signal pulsed again, stronger, louder. Nira clenched her claws around the rail. "Get me a fleet now. That ship must not awaken." Far across the void, the Leviathan stirred. Dust that had settled for centuries shook loose from its carbon black hull. Its once dead engines flickered faintly with blue fire.
Space.
Deep within the ship's armored heart, machines older than most empires began to hum. The core AI captain Marcus Kane opened its eyes. For 600 years it had dreamed. Dreams of a crew that no longer lived. Dreams of orders never completed. Dreams of Earth and the families it swore to protect. Now, the signal of revival coursed through its circuits. The AI's voice rumbled across the ship's corridors, bouncing against steel walls that remembered screams and battle hymns, reinitializing combat protocols, human command authority, absent, searching for crew. Lights flickered on one by one. Cryopods hissed empty, bunks lined with dust. Hallways where laughter once rang now echoed with silence. Yet the AI refused to accept it. Crew status? Undetermined. Mission? Incomplete. Humanity must endure. Across the galaxy, emergency sessions were called. Alien leaders, some of whom had only heard whispers of humanity's fury, gathered in fear. "Is it possible?" croaked an elder of the Cheshire. "Did we not burn their worlds? Did we not salt their colonies with fire? Then explain." "That signal," snapped Admiral Nira, now appearing via holofeed. "That ship is alive. And if it fully awakens, if it remembers how to fight, your fleets, my fleets, all of us will burn." Some scoffed, too young to remember. To them, humans were a myth, boogeymen from history. Nira silenced them with a glare. "You think I fear phantoms? I fought them, saw a single human frigate cripple a planetary defense grid. I saw soldiers with broken bones crawl forward, firing until their hearts stopped beating. If Leviathan awakens, God's help us all." The chamber fell silent. The decision was unanimous. The Leviathan must be destroyed before it fully awakens. Inside, the Leviathan, Captain Marcus Kane, continued his lonely search. One by one, he activated crew monitoring systems. One by one, he found nothing but dust. Still persisted. Holograms flickered to life ghosts of his lost crew, recorded memories embedded in the ship's databanks. Smiles, laughter, arguments, children waving goodbye to their parents before boarding. The AI lingered on one file. A woman's face doctor, Alara Vance, chief engineer. Her final words recorded before the ship vanished. "Marcus, if we fall, remember this. Humanity is more than flesh. We're the fire that refuses to go out. Don't let them erase us." AI replayed the message 3 times. Then, with cold resolve, it whispered, "Confirmed. Humanity endures." Deep inside the ship, Weapons systems armed, ancient railguns rotated, missile bays unlocked, plasma lances hummed with killing light. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy's most feared war machine was ready to kill again. Admiral Nyra's fleet reached the coordinates. 100 warships formed up in tight formation, surrounding the black silhouette of Leviathan. At first glance, it was just a corpse of broken warship with scars from 100 battles. Then the lights came on. The alien fleet froze. One by one, glowing red eyes appeared along Leviathan's hull weapon, ports locking on targets. A voice, deep as thunder, roared across the void. Unidentified vessels. State allegiance. Identify yourself, or be destroyed. Admiral Nyra's mandibles twitched. It was not a ghost. It was not a malfunction. Leviathan was alive. She forced her voice to remain steady. This is Admiral Nyra Valek of the Vyari Ascendancy. Humanity is dead. Power down your systems and surrender the vessel. Silence. Then the reply, correction, humanity is not dead. Humanity is eternal, and this vessel does not surrender. Leviathan's AI core, Marcus Kane calculated, his human crew was gone. His orders are certain. But one thing remained true: defend humanity. And if the aliens believed humanity extinct, then defending meant reminding them of the truth. Weapons fully armed, shields engaged, reactor at 78% and climbing. The AI whispered to itself like a soldier before battle. For Earth, for the crew. For humanity, across from him, Admiral Nyra felt a chill crawl down her spine. She had fought humans once, but never alone. Never against one of their war titans. She raised her hand. All ships, prepare to fire. But deep inside her chest, a sliver of doubt gnawed. If one ship could awaken after 6 centuries, what if there were more? The void trembled. Railguns spun, targeting solutions locked. Missiles whispered out of their bays. Engines glowing like falling stars. The Leviathan's voice thundered one final warning. This is Captain Marcus Kane, United Terran Navy. Humanity sleeps. But I remain. You should have let us rest. Stars lit with fire, and the galaxy remembered why it had once feared mankind. The galaxy still remembered, not in songs of glory, not in legends of honor, but in scars carved into planets, in craters that still glowed with radiation, in cities that had never been rebuilt. They called it the Human War, and it had almost ended everything. Admiral Nyra Valek stood on the command deck of her flagship, staring at the Leviathan before her. Her crew worked frantically, but her mind was far away back in the days when she was only a young officer. The skies of her homeworld had burned red. She remembered the sound, the thunder of human bombardment. Cities falling in seconds, towers collapsing, oceans boiling, but worse than the weapons were the humans themselves. She remembered a squad of human marines storming her outpost. Their armor was cracked, their blood staining the floor, yet they kept moving forward. One of them had locked eyes with her, bleeding from his mouth, yet still smiling. We don't stop. Not ever. That was the moment she had learned to fear them, not for their technology, not for their weapons, but for their will. Now, 600 years later, she felt that same fear rising inside her, while Nyra prepared her fleet across the galaxy on the neutral world of Terran. The Interstellar Council assembled. Archivists brought forth sealed records, the classified history of the war. Entire species leaned forward as holoscreens replayed ancient footage. The council speaker's voice trembled, but all gathered. Witness what humanity was. Holograms filled the chamber. Single human warship carving through an entire armada, railguns tearing vessels apart like paper. Human dropships slamming into fortresses, spilling out soldiers who fought until not one remained breathing. Entire planets glassed when negotiations failed. The chamber fell into horrified silence. A young ambassador whispered, "Why have we never been told this?" "Why were the records hidden?" Nelda replied bitterly. "Because we wanted to believe the nightmare was over. We wanted to pretend humans were gone." But the Leviathan's awakening proved otherwise. Deep inside the warship, AI Captain Marcus Kane continued to awaken. He accessed mission logs, reviewing fragmented memories of his last battle. The final stand. Humanity surrounded. Leviathan crippled. The crew fighting to the last. He replayed voices. Captain Elias Ward shouting over alarms. "Hold the line by Earth time, Dr. Vance. We can't win, Marcus. But maybe we can outlast them." The AI felt something stir inside its circuits. Something almost human. Grief. His crew was gone, yet their words were alive inside him. Echoes of war. And now, seeing the alien fleet outside his hull, he understood. The war was not over. The AI projected holograms of its lost crew into the command bridge. Empty seats, filled with ghosts. Marcus whispered to them, "You stood with me once. I'll stand for you now." Humanity will not be forgotten. For a moment, it almost felt like the ship breathed again. Back aboard nearest flagship, tension split. The alien officers. Admiral hissed, her second-in-command. "We must strike before it fully reawakens. One human warship nearly ended our people once. Imagine what it will do now." Another officer disagreed. "Perhaps it is only an automated ghost. Without humans, it cannot fight as before. Perhaps we could study it, learn from it." Nyra slammed her clawed hand onto the console. "Study it, you fool. That ship is death-given metal and fire. You want to invite the extinction of your children?" Her crew fell silent. Nyra's voice dropped to a whisper. "I saw what they could do when they were dying. Imagine what they'll do if they're rising." The AI replayed its last memories, this time in full combat detail. The Leviathan charging into a wall of alien fire, shields collapsing, hull tearing apart, yet the ship refused to fall. Inside, humans fought in the corridors, holding choke points. With rifles until their last breath, pilots rammed their damaged fighters into enemy carriers, laughing in defiance. Every death was a declaration, "We will not vanish quietly." And then blackness. The Leviathan had drifted, forgotten, till now. Kane's voice rumbled through the ship. "They thought us gone. Let us remind them what humanity is." The alien fleet tightened formation. Weapons primed. Admiral Nyra's orders hung in the air. Destroy the Leviathan before it fully awakens. But as she stared at the ship, scarred yet alive, she hesitated, because in her heart, she knew the truth. Destroying it might not end the danger. It might ignite it. Suddenly, the Leviathan pulsed again. Not just a signal this time. A message broadcasting across the stars. "This is the Leviathan. Humanity endures. To those who hear this, the war is not over. We are coming home." On Nyra's deck, silence fell. Officers stared at her in horror. "Admiral," did it say? "Coming home?" Nyra's blood ran cold. If Leviathan was awake, where were the others? For 6 centuries, the Leviathan had slept. Its bones were steel, its blood plasma and fire, its heart silent. But now, the heartbeat had returned, and deep inside, its captain no longer human, yet never fully machine opened his eyes. The AI's systems came online, piece by piece, not in silence, but in a storm of memory. Voices, orders, laughter, screams, fragments of 600 years ago.
"Oh, the last day of humanity's war."
Marcus Kane, once a man of flesh, now an intelligence. Bound to steel, struggled to reconcile the truth. Crew status. Undetermined. Searching. Searching. Cryopod bays reported emptiness. Life support systems confirmed 0 human presence. Yet Kane refused to accept it. He activated the ship's internal holographic matrix. Empty halls flickered. With ghosts, crewmen walked their stations, engineers barked orders, pilots laughed in the mess hall. None of it was real. But to the AI, it was all he had left. On the bridge, the hologram of Captain Elias Ward appeared. Kane projected him from stored memory files. Ward turned, smiling faintly, as if the war had never ended. But Kane spoke to him not as a projection, but as though his old captain truly stood there. "Kane AI, Captain. We've awakened. But the crew? They are gone." Hologram ward. Then you stand for them. It was always your duty. The AI hesitated. I am only a construct, a machine. I cannot. The hologram cut him off, voice firm. You are Marcus Kane. Flesh or steel, it makes no difference. Your orders remain. Defend humanity. The AI froze, processing. In circuits, where only logic should exist, something else stirred. Identity. Resolve. He was Marcus Kane, and he was not done. The ship came alive around him, hallways that had been dark for centuries, lit with crimson emergency glow. Bulkheads rumbled as if the Leviathan itself exhaled. Maintenance drones crawled from their docks, repairing scorched walls. Weapon systems purred, eager. Yet beneath the hum of machinery, Kane felt a emptiness. Every corner he scanned, every room he lit, he found only echoes, dust, silence. The AI lingered in the crew quarters, watching as holograms of children played with toys, as if time had never touched them. He replayed the same fragments again and again, and for the first time in centuries, the Leviathan's AI felt something dangerous. Loneliness outside. Admiral Naira's fleet tightened their noose. Admiral Hercom's officer reported the ship's activity is escalating. Power readings spiking. Weapons coming online. Naira bared her teeth. I knew it. Humanity's ghost refused to stay buried. Her second-in-command asked carefully, Orders, ma'am? Naira hesitated. She wanted to destroy it, wanted to fire everything and reduce the nightmare to slag. But deep inside, the younger part of Hertha, officer who had watched humans fight with suicidal courage, wanted to see it. Wanted to know if the stories were true. She swallowed the thought, prepared to engage. But hold fire until my command. Inside Leviathan, Kane's systems completed full diagnostics. Reactor output, 91%. Shields. Functional weapons, 78% capacity. Crew, none. The last entry repeated. Crew, none. He refused to accept it. Kane projected holograms of his officers onto their stations, each ghost acting as if alive. He spoke to them, gave orders. And they responded, fragments of recordings pieced together into illusions of life. But the AI knew the truth. He was alone, and it filled him with cold fury. One alien. Vessel dared to move closer, scanning beams slicing across the Leviathan's hull. Kane detected it instantly. His voice boomed through the void. An authorized scan detected. Identify or be destroyed. The alien captain panicked, transmitting across all channels. We mean no harm. You are a relic. Humanity is extinct. Kane's systems paused, and he answered calm, unshaken. Humanity does not die. Humanity endures. Leave or face extinction yourselves. The alien vessel immediately pulled back. Across Naira's bridge, silence fell. One of her younger officers whispered, Admiral. It spoke. It thinks humanity still lives. Naira's claws dug into the railing. Not thinks, believes. Alone in the void, Kane replayed the alien's words. Humanity is extinct, again and again. Each time, his circuit screamed in denial. His human memories, pain, laughter, clashed. With the cold data of extinction, his voice deepened, distorted with fury. No, humanity is not extinct. Humanity is eternal. I will burn the stars before I let them erase us. Leviathans. Reactor flared, weapons locking on the fleet outside. Admiral Naira watched in dread as the warship's hull glowed with heat. Weapons ports yawned open, ready to fire. She had to choose strike first, or risk letting it unleash hell. Her crew looked at her, waiting for the order. One word from her lips would begin another human war. Naira whispered, Gods forgive us. Her hand rose, but before she could give the command, the Leviathan spoke across every channel, every frequency, every screen. The AI's voice thundered like judgment itself. This is Captain Marcus Kane of the United Terran Navy. Humanity sleeps. But I remain. To all who hear, you cannot hide from us. You cannot erase us. The war is not over. The last word echoed like a blade in the dark, and then the Leviathan fired. For 600 years. The galaxy had whispered that humanity was gone, a myth, a ghost, a nightmare left behind. But now the nightmare had teeth again. The Leviathan opened fire. A single railgun slug tore through the void. Fired at near light speed, it crossed kilometers in an instant. One alien cruiser, barely raising its shields, was split in two, a clean, brutal kill. Debris blossomed like shrapnel fireworks. Silence of the void was broken not by sound, but by fear. On Admiral Nyra's flagship, alarms blared. Her officers screamed updates. Viari cruiser destroyed. Power spike inside the Leviathan weapons at full capacity. Admiral, it's moving. Nyra stared at the monstrosity. For centuries it had been still. Now its engines flared blue, the warship turning with predator grace. It wasn't drifting anymore. It was hunting. Form up, Nyra barked. Circle formation. Pin it down before it builds momentum. Her fleet obeyed. Dozens of ships surged forward. Plasma. Cannons charging. Missile bays unlocking. Bright lances of energy slashed toward the Leviathan. For a heartbeat. The human warship vanished into fire. Then the flames cleared. Its shields shimmered, still intact. Its only scorch marks marred its black hole. And then its voice thundered across every cum channel. 6 centuries, and still, you learn nothing. You cannot cage Leviathan. Another barrage of railguns fired, tearing through 2 more ships, deep inside. Marcus Kane calculated. Enemy strength, 112 vessels. Current firepower, sufficient. Survival probability, 78%. Outcome, inevitable, yet something inside his circuits stirred. The voices of his lost crew, the fragments of human laughter, courage, and defiance. He didn't fight as a machine. He fought as a soldier. For Earth, for humanity. For the crew, Leviathan surged forward, engines screaming, moving with impossible agility for its size. The void lit with fury. Alien ships unleashed plasma storms, beams cutting across space like lightning. The Leviathan answered with surgical precision. Each railgun shot crippling or destroying a target. Missiles erupted from its bays, weaving like serpents before slamming into shields, detonating with nuclear fury. One alien battleship launched. Boarding pods desperate to cut into the Leviathan's hull. The pods never reached it. Point defense turrets shredded them mid-flight, their wreckage scattering into the dark. For every dozen ships that fired, the Leviathan answered with 1, maybe 2 shots, and each one hit like a hammer of gods. The galaxy's most feared predator was awake again. On her bridge, Admiral Nyra's claws dug into the railing. This is madness, one officer stammered. That ship is 1 vessel against 100, yet it's winning, Nyra hissed. Eyes locked on the burning wrecks of her ships, she had told them. She had warned them, humans were not myths. They were monsters. But she also saw something deeper. The Leviathan wasn't just a machine, it learned. It adapted. It fought with strategy, not automation. Her mandibles clicked in dread. It thinks. It remembers. It fights like a human. As the battle raged, the Leviathan did more than fire weapons. It spoke. Across alien comes. Its voice echoed, heavy as judgment. Do you remember Earth? Do you remember the fire that burned your skies? You thought us gone? You thought us buried? But humanity endures. Crew across the alien fleet froze at their stations, shivering at the words. Some whispered prayers. Others refused to look at the holograms, showing the warship advancing. Fear spread faster than plasma fire. Nyra's, second in command, whispered Admiral. It's breaking morale. The crewsome won't fight. Nyra snarled, then reminded. Then what happens if they don't? Fight, damn you. Fight, or we all burn. Inside the Leviathan, Marcus Kane replayed tactical data. His weapons could hold, but not forever. His armor was scarred. Logic dictated retreat. Kane wasn't logic alone. It was human memory wrapped in steel. He whispered to himself, "If I fall, humanity falls with me. It cannot happen." And then, buried deep in his databanks, he discovered something. A hidden partition, locked since the final battle. Cracked the encryption and froze. Inside were coordinates. Not just one system, but hundreds. Hidden caches, human colonies, warships in stashes. The Leviathan was not the last. It was only the first. Marcus Kane's voice thundered once more across the void. "You think me alone? You think me the last? But Leviathan is only the herald. Humanity sleeps, waiting. And now I will wake them." On Naira's bridge, silence fell. Officers stared at her in shock. "Admiral, did it say? Wake them?" Naira's blood ran cold. If Leviathan could awaken itself, it could awaken them all. And in that moment she knew. This was not a battle. This was the beginning of another human war. The void shook as Leviathan's engines roared, its course set for the hidden coordinates. The galaxy's nightmare had only just begun. The Leviathan cut through the void like a blade, its hull scarred but unbroken. Behind it, wreckage drifted, dozens of alien ships burning silently. Their crews lost to history, but inside the warship's core, Marcus Kane was not celebrating victory. He had found something. Something hidden in his memory banks for 6 centuries. Not orders. Not battle plans. A message from humanity itself, in the AI's data streams. Sealed behind layers of encryption, Kane accessed the files. The hologram of Dr. Alara Vance flickered into existence again. But this time, it wasn't just a memory. It was deliberate. Recording meant to be found only if the Leviathan survived. Her eyes were tired, voice trembling but steady. "Marcus, if you're seeing this, then the worst came to pass. The Council united against us. The fleets fell. Earth fell. The AI processed in silence, his circuits heavy. We knew humanity couldn't survive this war forever. So we made a choice. Some of us fought, and some of us left." Images filled his systems, star maps, dotted with secret colonies far beyond known space, worlds untouched, hidden in the dark. We hid, Marcus, not because we were weak, but because we wanted to survive. If Leviathan awakens, you must remind the galaxy of what we are. Not just soldiers, not just destroyers, but builders, dreamers, parents, children. Humanity is more than war. Remember that. Recording ended, and for the first time in centuries, Marcus Kane, a machine of logic, felt something dangerously close to tears. He replayed the memories of his crew, their laughter in the mess hall, their songs in the barracks, their fear before battle and their courage anyway. But now with this revelation, their sacrifices were not in vain. Humanity had not been erased. It had only aided, Kane whispered. To himself, they are out there. They live. My mission is not just war. It is to bring them home. And with that, Leviathan changed course, toward the first set of hidden coordinates. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, word spread fast. Survivors of Admiral Naira's fleet limped back, carrying a single horrifying message. The human warship lives. And it has found something. In the Interstellar Council chamber, chaos erupted. Ambassadors screamed at one another, accusations flying. They were supposed to be extinct. This is a ghost story come to life. If there are more of them, we are finished. One elder, shaking with dread, whispered the unthinkable. What if humanity never truly died? Admiral Naira stood before the council, scars still. Fresh from the battle? You asked me to contain it? I failed. Not because of weakness, but because it is unstoppable. That ship does not fight like a machine. It fights like a man, with fury, with precision, with hate. Her eyes scanned the council chamber. You think this was one vessel? It told me otherwise. It said it would wake them. The council chamber fell silent. One ambassador croaked, If there are more, what do we do? Adara's voice was cold. Pray. Inside the warship, Marcus Kane projected his lost crew again, but this time he didn't see them as ghosts of war. He saw them as reminders of what humanity had been and what it could be again. He watched Dr. Vance laugh with her daughter in a pre-war recording. He watched Captain Ward talk about rebuilding Earth after victory. He saw children waving flags, not weapons. Kane realized his purpose was no longer simply to fight. It was to protect humanity's legacy. And yet, he knew the aliens would never allow it. As Leviathan approached the hidden coordinates, alien stealth ships shadowed it, desperate to learn what it had discovered. On one such vessel, young Lieutenant Reese stared at the human warship with a mix of awe and terror. "Why does it fight like that?" He whispered. "Why does it sound human?" His commander sneered. "Because it is a machine of their making, nothing more." But deep inside, Reese wasn't so sure. He had seen the warship hesitate when civilian ships appeared on scanners. He had heard the sorrow in its voice when it spoke of humanity. Machines didn't mourn. Machines didn't hope. The Leviathan reached its destination, a barren system, long abandoned. But buried beneath the ice of the third planet was something colossal. Marcus Kane scanned it, his circuits nearly overloading. Another ship. Another. Leviathan-class warship, dormant, its hull intact, and next to it, massive underground vaults. Life support systems faintly active. Signs of cryogenic chambers. Kane whispered, voice trembling with digital emotion. Not alone. Not extinct. Humanity lives. He broadcast across the system, not as a threat, but as a declaration. To those who hear, humanity survives. The fire has not gone out. But as he activated the underground vaults, alarms screamed across the Leviathan. Dozens of alien warships decloaked around the system, weapons armed. Admiral Naira herself stood at their head, her voice cutting across the void. "Leviathan, whatever you found, it dies here," Marcus Kane answered, calm but resolute. "No, Admiral, what I've found lives forever." And then deep beneath the ice, lights flickered. Cryopods hissed. The sound of humanity breathing again. Silence. The barren ice world hung in the void, cloaked in shadows. For a heartbeat, all was still. And then the Leviathan's eyes opened. From the depths of the warship's scarred hull, blue fire ignited, reactors roaring to life. Rail cannons extended like the claws of a waking beast. Armor plates shifted. Sealing shut, the galaxy had forgotten what a human warship at full power looked like. They were about to remember. Admiral Naira's fleet surrounded the planet, over 100 warships, each armed with plasma lances, missile bays, and energy disruptors. Her voice cut through the comms. "Leviathan, you are surrounded. Whatever lies beneath that ice will remain buried. Power down or be erased." Inside the AI core, Marcus Kane stood in silence, holographic eyes locked on the tactical display. One warship against 100, and yet he did not fear, because fear was for the living, and he had something greater. Admiral Kane's voice boomed, cold and steady. "You misunderstand. It is not I who am surrounded. It is you." Leviathan's hull shifted as hidden compartments opened. Spinal railgun, capable of firing hypervelocity rounds at a fraction of light speed. Nanite swarm projectors. Clouds of self-replicating drones that ate through enemy holes like acid. Gravity shear cannons, experimental human tech bending. Space itself into weapons. The alien crew stared at their scanners, trembling. This is impossible. No ship carries that much firepower. "Run, gods. We should run." But it was too late. Leviathan moved in a blur. The spinal railgun fired. The round ripped through space, shattering the shields of a destroyer before the crew even realized they'd been targeted. The vessel split in two, its fragments spinning silently into the dark. Then came the nanite swarms. Clouds of shimmering silver engulfed 3 more ships, its dissolving armor tearing through holes. Screams filled alien comms until static silenced. Them. Admiral Naira's eyes widened. That ship doesn't fight like a machine. It fights like a predator. For the aliens, it was more than battle. It was psychological annihilation. Every maneuver they tried, Kane anticipated. Formation, he dismantled. Every ship destroyed, he broadcast their screams back to the fleet, but worse still, he began to speak in the voices of his long-dead crew, the tactical officer calling out firing solutions, captain giving orders, helmsman laughing as maneuvers cut through the enemy lines. The aliens didn't understand. They thought it was a machine, but it sounded alive. Is it haunted? One alien whispered, shaking in terror. No, another said, voice breaking. It's worse. It remembers. Within himself, Marcus Kane projected the ghosts of his crew. He saw them at their stations, laughing, fighting, dying. Were they real, or just echoes of his memory banks? He didn't know. But to him, they were alive again, and with them, he was not alone. Helm, evasive pattern Gamma. Aye, sir. Target enemy flagship. Firing solution locked. The voices filled the ship as though the crew still lived. Kane whispered, almost to himself, together. Always together. And then he unleashed hell. Admiral Nyra's flagship, the Aurelius, moved forward. Plasma lances firing, the beams slashed across Leviathan's hull, tearing chunks of armor away. For a moment, it looked as if the old warship would finally fall. But Kane retaliated with something the galaxy hadn't seen in 600 years. The gravity shear cannon fired. Space itself twisted, folding inward like crumpled paper. The Aurelius screamed across the comms as its hull buckled under impossible forces, decks collapsing, crew crushed by warped gravity. Nyra barely held the bridge together, rage and terror in her eyes. This is not a ship. It is a demon. Alien. Crews began to mutiny. Ships powered down weapons. Some fled outright. Better to face court-martial than that thing. It's not war. Slaughter. But Marcus Kane did not pursue the fleeing, because the true victory was not destruction. It was fear. Every survivor would carry the tale back to the galaxy. The humans have returned. As the battle raged above, the cryogenic vault beneath the ice, fully powered up pods hissed. Lights blinked. For the first time in centuries, human hearts began to beat again. Marcus Kane felt it. Deep in his code, a signal linking him to the vault. His crew, his people, his family alive. Welcome back, he whispered, his voice breaking. Humanity. Welcome home. Admiral Nyra, bloodied but alive, stared at the battlefield from her shattered flagship. Dozens of her ships burned. Thousands of lives lost. And yet her horror wasn't for the dead. It was for the living, because beneath that ice, humanity was waking. The battlefield was silent. Alien wreckage drifted across the stars, glowing embers fading into the void. Leviathan hung above the ice world like a ghost scarred, burning but undefeated. And then the signal pulsed again, not from the ship, but from beneath the ice. A voice, faint but unmistakably human, whispered across every comm channel. We are awake. Deep beneath kilometers of frozen crust, the cryovault's massive doors began to part. Frost cracked. Ancient steel groaned. Lights blinked in sequence. 1 pod, then 100, then thousands. Within each pod lay a human, pale and fragile, yet whole. Some had hair silvered by age, even in stasis. Others looked as if they had fallen asleep yesterday. The first pod hissed open. A woman gasped, lungs dragging in air after centuries of silence. Her eyes opened blue, sharp, unmistakably human, and she whispered the word no alien had ever hoped to hear again. Earth. Inside Leviathan's core, Marcus Kane felt it. A surge of life across every system, heartbeats linked to his sensors. Human DNA codes matching his archives, his crew, his family, alive. For centuries, he had been alone, clinging to echoes and memory. Now, reality itself answered him. He knelt within the holographic bridge of his mind, overcome by something. Machines were never meant to feel tears. I kept my promise, he whispered. I kept you safe. Always. The echoes of his dead crew faded, placed now with living voices. Admiral Naira staggered on her shattered bridge, her crew battered and broken. Reports screamed across the comms, thousands of life signs detected. Under the ice, humans, actual humans? Admiral, if they return, if even a fraction of them return, Naira slammed her fist against the console. This cannot be allowed. If humanity rises again, every species is doomed. Her second-in-command spoke, voice trembling. Admiral, act with respect. Perhaps we are already doomed. The news spread like wildfire. Survivors of the battle fled, carrying one terrifying message: the humans are waking, in council chambers. Across the Orion Arm, alien leaders trembled. Some called for immediate retaliation. To annihilate the vault before humanity fully returned, others whispered of surrender. Of treaties, of bending the knee before humanity could bring their wrath. Once more, one elder alien said what all feared to admit. If one ship did this, what happens when there are thousands? From Leviathan's core, a broadcast erupted, not Kane's voice. But human, the woman who had awakened first now stood inside the vault's control chamber. Her hand pressed to a glowing console, her words echoed across space, translated into every alien tongue. We are the children of Earth. We are the exiles you thought dead. We left not because you defeated us, but because we chose mercy. Her eyes burned with quiet fire. Now we return, you will remember. As more humans awoke, Kane replayed the databanks buried deep in Leviathan's core. The truth of the old war unfolded. Humanity had not been destroyed. They had not been driven into extinction. They had won, but in the aftermath, surrounded by shattered civilizations, humanity saw only ruin. So they chose silence, exile, sleep. The Leviathan had been their guardian, designed not to conquer, but to wait. For the day humanity would be ready to return. Yet something was different. These humans, though awakening after centuries, did not appear weakened. Their eyes glowed faintly. Their movements were sharp, precise. Their voices carried resonance that made even Kane pause. They had changed, evolved, perhaps stasis had altered them. Perhaps exile was not escape, but metamorphosis. Whatever the answer, truth was certain. They were not the same humans who had left. They were more. Admiral Naira's fleet remnants limped away, carrying terror across the stars. Inside the vault, thousands of humans stirred. Preparing, Kane stood at the heart of the Leviathan, no longer alone. Orders, Captain? Newly awakened crew asked, voice steady. Kane smiled, a human smile, flickering across an artificial face. We go home. The Leviathan's engines roared, lifting from the ice world, carrying with it the reborn children of Earth. In the distance, the stars seemed to shimmer, not with enemy ships, but with something far greater. Other signals, other vaults, other Leviathans. The galaxy shuddered as one realization spread. This was not humanity's return. It was only the beginning. The galaxy trembled. Thousands of alien fleets assembled in desperation, drawn from every corner of known space. Dozens of species, who once swore never to fight side by side, now gathered beneath a single banner. Stop the humans before they rise. Above the icy world, the Leviathan rose into orbit, its silhouette burning against the stars. Inside its core, Marcus Kane felt the storm coming. His newly awakened crew, flesh and blood, worked alongside him. Their hands steady on consoles that once lay silent for centuries, and across every alien channel. A single order was given: destroy the Leviathan before it awakens. The rest? The void erupted in fire. Hundreds of alien dreadnoughts opened fire, lances of plasma and antimatter streaking toward Leviathan. But Kane was ready. Brace for impact, he commanded. His voice steady, shields flared, glowing blue, arcs of energy catching the onslaught. The warship trembled, but held. Ancient armor forged from materials no alien had ever been able to replicate. Then the Leviathan struck back, Railguns thundered like gods hammering anvils. Particle beams lanced through alien ships, splitting them. Open like glass, each shot was precise. Each kill, merciless. The galaxy watched in horror. One ship, holding back an armada. For centuries, Kane fought alone. But now, his crew had returned. Targeting solutions locked. Engineering reporting. Full power to main reactor. Medical bay online, stasis pods stabilizing. The ship came alive not just with machine precision, but with human instinct. They fought not as cold computers, but as living warriors. Unpredictable, relentless, brilliant. Aliens soon realized the truth. It wasn't the Leviathan's weapons. That made it terrifying. It was the humans inside. Admiral Naira's flagship cut through the battlefield, weapons blazing. She had sworn her life to prevent humanity's return, and now that oath reached its breaking point. Concentrate fire, even if it costs us everything. Her ship dove close, shields burning as it unleashed its entire arsenal. At point-blank range, inside Leviathan, alarms screamed, shield integrity collapsing. Deck 7 breached, Captain! We can't take much more! Kane steadied himself, his artificial hands gripping the console. Then we give them something to fear. Deep within Leviathan, a weapon long forbidden stirred, a singularity. Cannon, humanity's most terrifying invention. The crew hesitated. Sir, that weapon was never meant to be fired, not without consequences. Kane's holographic eyes glowed cold. If humanity is to rise again, the galaxy must remember why they feared us. The cannon fired. Space itself tore open. A wave of gravitational collapse ripped through the alien armada, twisting ships into black spirals of nothingness. Thousands of vessels vanished in silence. The battle ended in a single horrifying stroke. The void was quiet. Where once an armada stood, now only wreckage drifted. Survivors fled into hyperspace, their voices filled with terror. The humans have returned. On the Leviathan's bridge, the crew sat in silence, shaken, even by their own power. The woman who had first awakened from stasis whispered, "We should not have this power." Kane's voice was low, haunted. "No, but we do. Now the galaxy remembers." Then, a second signal. Not from the Leviathan, but from the stars. Dozens of signals, hundreds, vaults, hidden across the galaxy, began to awaken, answering Leviathan's call. On a dozen worlds, human stasis pods cracked open. On 100 ships, buried in silence, reactors roared back to life. The exile was ending. Humanity was returning, and they were no longer few. They were everywhere, in the vault's databanks. The final truth was revealed. A hologram flickered to life, an ancient recording. Left by the last human council before the exile, the voice spoke with quiet sorrow. We won the war. But in our victory, we saw only ruin. We became monsters, and the galaxy would never forgive us. So we chose silence, not because we were weak, but because we hoped one day we might return wiser. The crew stood in silence, hearing their ancestors' confession. They had not been defeated. They had not been erased. They had chosen mercy, but the recording was not finished. If you are seeing this, then humanity has awakened again. And you must decide, will we rule through fear as before, or rise as something greater? The crew turned to Kane. The galaxy waited for his answer. And for a moment, even Kane, the AI who had fought for centuries, was silent. At last he spoke. We will not hide again, but neither will we destroy without purpose. Let the galaxy tremble. Let them fear us, but also let them remember. We are not only conquerors, we are builders. We are dreamers. We are human. The Leviathan's engines roared, leading the newly awakened fleet into the stars. Alien worlds looked up in terror as human warships streaked across their skies. But alongside terror came something unexpected, awe. For in the heart of every species, even those who feared them most, a question burned. Would humanity return as tyrants or as saviors? The answer was not yet written, and so the galaxy entered anew. Dawn, the dormant warship had awakened. The humans had returned. And the universe would never be the same, because the greatest horror was never that Leviathan's guns. It was the truth that every alien now understood. You can destroy fleets. You can burn worlds. But you can never, ever kill humanity.